welcome back to my channel. My name is Alex and today Juniper is 9 months old, which is just so nuts to me and so crazy because pregnancy for 9 months plus took way longer than it has taken for her to become 9 months old, Earthside. So it's just crazy to me. But today is a cool and special day because we are going to talk about 10 things that I have learned in being her mom for 9 months. You'll hear her in the background because she's in her Johnny Jump Up and jumping and squealing and playing, so you'll probably hear her during this. But yes, thank you so much for watching and let's get started. Number 1, labor. I had an epidural, I should preface that. But we were able to sleep and we were able to just crack jokes when I was practicing pushing that wasn't actually practicing, it was happening. Little did the nurses know at the time. And it was just a really pleasant experience. The aftermath is a whole different story, but the labor and delivery part of my pregnancy, and it was just so amazing and so emotional and just beautiful, and I felt really strong in a different way, not because I had a natural birth, but because I made choices that I felt confident in so that June could come and have her mama be healthy and safe and sane and okay. So I loved having an epidural. It was the best for me. I think I'll probably try it again the next time I am in labor. But I just learned through labor and delivery that 1, I loved it, 2, I felt productive, and 3, I don't think I felt more confident up to that point of just making my decisions and knowing it's what I needed to do and sticking to it and feeling great about the decisions that I made. Number 2, plans change a lot with babies. So we had all these plans set up to not have her on a pacifier the first while or ever. We were hoping to bring her home in the first few days. We were hoping that, you know, she would latch really great and breastfeed for a long time and all of these different things, and literally none of that happened at all. She had to get a couple of oxygen pushes when they were cleaning her up. Her cord was wrapped around her neck when she came out. And she just had a couple of issues with breathing when she was first born. So she was put into the NICU on her 2nd day of life. So she was born on a Wednesday, October 30th, and then by that 2nd of November, I want to say, she was put into the NICU for a week. And that was not in our plan. We were planning on going home. I was dressed, I was walking around that morning, and then they come and they tell us that they have to take her because she's still not doing as well as they were hoping. So that was really hard. And then within the first few hours, I think within the first 2 hours, she had a passy in her mouth. Breastfeeding is hard for everybody, but for the first 3.5 months of breastfeeding, she just wasn't wanting it. She didn't want anything to do with it. And so for about 3 months, she was both on the bottle and she was breastfeeding, and I tried like exclusively pumping and just feeding her with the bottle. That was just too much mentally and emotionally for me to handle. So by Christmas and like about Christmas time, we just stopped and just strictly did bottles around that Christmas trip. It was just too much. When those plans change, you just learn quickly to roll with it. And so once we decided to stop breastfeeding, it was a game changer for her temperament. Her colic around that time is when colic kind of tapers off anyway, but with formula we use Gentilese from Enfamil, and that was really helpful. Yeah, so just plans change and it's really hard, and it consistently kept changing for us, from passy to NICU life to breastfeeding to sleeping arrangements. Just everything changed, and you just have to learn to roll with it and do what's best for you and baby. Otherwise it's just going to be those clenched held hands over your expectations are just going to make you go nuts and go crazy, and they won't do you any good, and it's just not fun to live that way. Number 3, co-sleeping is everything. Co-sleeping was just a lifesaver. We got her one of those nests, bed nests that you can get on Etsy. You can get some from Target, Walmart, Amazon. that are more hard, but we got one of those that like the edges are squishy and they're like pillowed, and then you can put it between parents or on the bed, put her in there, and then baby's good. Babies sleep on their back for the first few months anyway, so she was good to go in that little nest, and Saya wasn't as scared to roll over her that way. So co-sleeping is our favorite thing. It has been my most favorite memories with her, having those extra moments of intimacy with her and having that closeness, and just waking up and her touching my face or cooing or smiling, screaming oftentimes too, but those little tender moments I just absolutely love, when she like audibly sighs and nestles in and just goes to sleep instantly after an hour trying to get her to sleep in her bed. Number 4, mom guilt, mom shame is real. I have learned, and it is not fun. I've learned it's especially easy to do it by doing it to yourself, and I'm actually quite passionate about this, to work on not mom guilt and not mom shaming yourself, because it is so hard with the internet, especially with Instagram and influencers and all of these. I can't take myself seriously when I hear her like this. She sounds like a pterodactyl. I call her Lady Pterodactyl often. If you know what that movie reference is from, let me know, because it is my top 5 favorite movie. So I will love you a long time if you can tell me what Lady Pterodactyl is from. I've struggled with mom shaming this whole time, and I still do, and I probably will the rest of my life, especially as she gets older. What foods do you feed her? What school do you put her in? Do you homeschool, private school, public school? Who are your friends you hang out with? What do you do for church? What do you do? It's just going to be so complicated. Do you put her in extracurriculars? Do you not? It's just going to be a constant struggle, especially internally toward myself. You're not doing enough. You're not enough. Why haven't you figured this out yet? So I oftentimes struggle with envy and comparison, and so in turn that comes back at me and says, oh, you're not great at this. You're not a good mom. You're not a good wife. And so mom guilt and mom shame are awful. So like I said earlier about labor and delivery and how confident I felt in that decision, you know your baby best, and you know what they need, you know what works, you know what doesn't work, and if you don't, you'll figure it out and it's going to be okay. So I've had to learn to give myself so much grace, and the Lord has been so patient with me in refining what my worth is, and my worth is in Him and who He tells me I am, and not in how somebody else affirms or doesn't like my choices that I make. But I know June. I know what she needs. Saya knows what she needs. Our decisions are based on our family, and so I don't have to feel shame or guilt for that, because it might look different than someone else's decisions or their family life or their parenting, that because their parenting is for that toward that child, not toward my child. So I could keep going on that one for a long time, but that one I've learned a lot about, and I'm going to keep learning about it because it's going to be a lifelong thing. So yeah, it's going to be fun. It'll be good. Number 5, adding the baby into your life, not making the baby your entire world. So that's very long. I'm sure there's a faster, easier, more efficient way to say that. But what I mean by that is we have been so excited when we found out we were pregnant. We were so excited to add baby into the things that we already love to do. So figuring out how to go hiking with that baby, figuring out what it meant to take longer trips, and if that trip is supposed to be 3 hours and turns into 6, which oftentimes it did and still does, that being okay, and again rolling with it, because plans change, babies make things harder but also more rich and more fun. So we were able to figure out, and are still figuring out, how to add her into the things that we love to do, like travel and go on adventures and just learn about culture, learn about what's happening in the world around us, figuring out how to go on walks and different things like that with a baby. And we're still married, we're still a couple, we're still individuals. I'm still Alex, Saya is still Saya, and June is June. But being able to do these things as a family, and just revamping how our family works, and adding her into the things that we just love to do. And that's been so much fun. We have loved it. Just figuring out how at the beginning, nurse her in the car while we're down in Arkansas for a full afternoon or evening. Figuring out how to change her diaper at a rest stop before we grab lunch and keep driving to go visit family for an anniversary weekend. Different things like that have just been really fun, and it's just necessary for you to keep your marriage strong and remember that you are still you, even if you are a parent. You're not solely a parent, and being a parent is part of your identity, but it is not your full identity. So that's what I have learned to add her into what we love to do. Number 6, surrender control. This goes hand in hand with plans changing. They're kind of similar, but this one deals more, instead of like letting go of your expectations, this is more trusting others with your baby. Even your spouse, which that was hard for me for a bit. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I stay with June all day long. I know when she looks tired. I know when she looks hungry. I know what her cries mean. I know her well. And so it's hard to relinquish her over to other people for babysitting, for feeding her if they're just hanging out with us. Even for a while, it was hard for me to let Saya even do things with her, because I knew how to calm her down, and she was with me all day, and I knew she would calm down faster being with mom versus dad figuring it out. And so for a while, I had to struggle through this, and I didn't realize I wasn't trusting people until I finally broke, and I had to apologize and just say to Saya, I didn't know that I wasn't trusting you. You don't deserve that from me. I'm really sorry. Can you forgive me? And let's figure out how I can give up my control. And so that for me meant he comes home, he can chill out from work a little bit. After a few hours, I'll go to the gym, or I'll go on a run, or I'll go run errands. Instead of taking her with me earlier in the day, I'll save them for after he gets home, and I'll go do it by myself so that I can slowly wean myself off of that need to be constantly by her. And that way that Saya can work on his skills and being a dad and know his child. That was quite early on, and now it's like, great, I'm gonna go. I need some time. I need to work on this thing. So it helped a lot to know that I can trust people with her. I'm still working on that, but it's definitely something I've learned how to do. Is yes, like number 2 said, to plans change, and I think we're on 5 or 6 is to relinquish control, and that having tight-knit control is just harmful to baby, you, and your spouse, and it keeps people from being involved in your family's life if you are always trying to control the whole situation every time. Number 7, driving in the car for naps. Put her in the car seat, get in the car, and drive. Teething especially has made this extremely important for us. Because sometimes she just won't nap. She won't nap in bed with me because she rolls around so much. She won't nap in her bed because she rolls around so much and has learned how to sit up on her own. And a week or 2 ago, I literally drove around for an hour, got my free Panera coffee for the day, and we just drove around the River Creek area around here for about an hour, and she slept for about 45 minutes out of that hour, and it was great. There are times when she's just fussy and we're at a friend's house and we need her to go down and she won't sleep in her pack and play that we brought. So Saya usually will take her, put her in the car, and get her to sleep in her car seat. You do what you gotta do and you just make it work. She needs to sleep. She's not sleeping. You do what you have to. Otherwise, it'll be a long night for everybody. Number 8, babies help meet people. Babies and dogs help meet people. You go on walks with dogs and babies. You go to parks with dogs and babies. Other people with dogs and babies want to hang out with the other people. So it's really fun taking her to the park and meeting other moms. Not so much right now because of COVID. You still keep your distance a lot, but I don't have a whole lot of mom friends, and so it's really good to meet other moms in the area that I wouldn't have met otherwise. It's really great for us to meet neighbors that way. Even yesterday, I think I waved and talked to about 3 or 4 neighbors just walking around the area for about a half hour. Number 9, take mornings Slow mornings are so important here for us. I am a 4 on the Enneagram, and that means that I don't do well with discipline. I'm working on it. I don't do well with discipline, and I don't do well with keeping my own schedule and being productive all the time. I've learned that just as a person, I have to have slower mornings in order to have a good 4 or 5 hours in the afternoon and evening to be super productive and get a lot done. I've noticed if I work all day long on things and have like little like 10 minutes in between, but most of my day is doing things productively. Obviously, there are times where you just have a crap ton to do during your day, and that's fine. But when it's just normal life, mundane life, I think I've always been an afternoon girl. Afternoon, early evening is when I thrive. Sometimes there's like one of the key things about people say about being a productive person is, or even like doing your devos, is to give God or that thing that you want to work on and be productive in the best of your day. For some people, that's right before they go to bed and they're doing, walking through their gratitude for the day. For some people, it's waking up at 6 a.m. a couple hours before their kids and having multiple hours to do what they need to do in the morning so the rest of their day goes well. For me, it's the afternoon, which is kind of weird, but I like to wake up early before June when I can, and if she's not up earlier, which she's been getting up earlier sometimes recently, and just have some coffee, put on some worship music, and just like bask in that for a while, and then do my devos and read or do whatever I want to do, get her up, us have a good morning together because I'm awake, I'm patient, I'm ready to go, and then afternoon after her first nap, we're good to go do all the things we need to go do, or I can put her down to play independently for a while and I'll go take care of the dishes or sweep around her or whatever I need to do. So I have learned probably in the last 4 months just how much better I feel and my day goes when I make those mornings slow and a priority. It just changes a lot for me. So don't be afraid of not being a morning person, and don't be afraid to not, again, hold that expectation of this is what everybody else does. Do what you have to do in order to be your best self, to give God your best time and prayer time with Him, so that you can do all of those things that you have to do really well in the time that you're given. So that's my encouragement and my take on that. Last but not least, number 10 is probably sentimental, but that's okay. June is everything. Her life is a blessing, and she is such an answer to prayer. We prayed a long time for her. My close friends know there was about a year where I really wanted a baby, and we just weren't ready financially and mentally, emotionally, whatever. If we could control that, which we thankfully were able to for the most part of when we were able to have a baby. That year before, I was just weep and weep and weep at night, especially with Saya, about I just really wanted a baby and we just weren't in a place for it. And so we prayed a lot about it. And then we felt like we were in a good place to stop birth control and to, start trying. And then we were blessed with a baby and being pregnant in February. So it was just, she is a massive answer to prayer and is such a testament to me of just the Lord's timing and His faithfulness to me. And she's just such a joy, and it's hard. It's really hard being a mom and having someone else to share my body, my life, my time with, more than just my husband. This is a person I grew in my body, and that has changed. My body has changed who I am. It has changed how I look. It changes how I act, why I make decisions. So it can be hard. I'm selfish, it can be hard to be sacrificial. It's hard, but she's worth it, and I struggle with that, but she's always worth it. And I love her so very much, and I'm so blessed to be her mom. And we were put in this family unit for a reason, and I pray every day for her to be a woman that is full of joy. And I pray that she is a person who welcomes people as they are and can love them as they are, whatever that means. That she can be a person full of faith and that loves Jesus for Jesus. And that she's just a woman full of life and light, and she already is. She's such a sweet baby, and she brings so much joy to people. And I am so thankful for her life, and I hope she always knows that from me, and that she knows that her parents love her dearly. So I didn't know, I thought I'd be emotional, and so I've done pretty okay so far, but I knew this one would probably get me, just talking about how I've learned how much of a joy and a blessing she truly is. And I just think she's amazing, and being her mom is probably the coolest thing I've gotten to do. And I have a lot to learn still, but yeah, 10 things I've learned from her, and being her mom and being a parent in the last 9 months. 9 months is a pretty big milestone. So thanks for watching. All of this is just for fun for me, and I really love spending time being creative and processing and sharing, and I don't get to see a lot of you guys in person. So this is fun for me to be able to share this in a succinct way and act like we're having coffee together, and just kind of imagine that I'm sitting with you guys and drinking some coffee. So I love you all. Happy almost weekend, and we'll talk soon. Bye.